Most people are not exhausted because they are doing too much. They are exhausted because too many parts of their life are moving in different directions at the same time. One version of them exists online. Another exists at work. Another performs for approval. Another stays hidden in silence, waiting to be heard beneath the noise. And slowly, maintaining all these fragmented identities becomes psychologically heavy. This is the hidden exhaustion of the modern world. Not lack of information, lack of coherence. Maybe you already know this feeling. Smiling publicly while internally disconnected. Scrolling late into the night even when your nervous system feels tired. Trying to focus on meaningful work while part of your mind keeps searching for stimulation. Feeling strangely divided between who you are and who the world keeps rewarding you for becoming. This is the crisis of the algorithmic age. Human beings are losing internal alignment. The modern nervous system is under constant interruption. Notifications, messages, content streams, infinite opinions, infinite emotional triggers competing for attention every second. The result is not clarity. It is interference. Like static flooding a signal until the original transmission becomes impossible to hear. This is why so many people feel disconnected from themselves. Not because they lack ambition, but because their thoughts, environments, habits, goals, and systems are no longer moving in the same direction. Their attention moves one way, their values move another, their habits reinforce something completely different, and their environment quietly amplifies the contradiction every day. This is where the resonance architect emerges, not as a ruler, not as a superior being, but as a human being learning how to create internal alignment inside a fragmented world. Because true power is not domination. True power is coherence. Nature itself moves through resonance. Waves amplify through alignment. Neural pathways strengthen through repetition. Music becomes powerful through harmony. Everything durable in existence gains strength through synchronization. Human beings are no different. This is the first principle of the resonance architect. What is internally divided cannot move with full force. A distracted mind weakens itself. A fragmented identity leaks energy. Contradicting priorities create internal resistance. And eventually, potential dissolves into exhaustion. Most people are not tired because they are weak. They are tired because too many parts of their life are fighting each other constantly. This is why modern life feels noisy, even in silence. Because unresolved fragmentation creates continuous psychological friction. Many people are exhausted not from work, but from maintaining too many versions of themselves. The algorithm accelerates this fragmentation constantly. It rewards reaction over reflection, performance over coherence, visibility over depth. The modern self is slowly being reshaped into a collection of optimized reactions, a personality adjusted for engagement, a face calibrated for approval, an identity trained to respond emotionally before thinking clearly. And after enough repetition, many people no longer remember what their mind sounds like without interruption. Some people scroll for hours searching for relief, only to realize the stimulation itself is creating the exhaustion. This is the second principle of the resonance architect. The algorithm rewards performance. But a meaningful life requires alignment. There is a difference between broadcasting a personality and building an integrated self. One creates visibility. The other creates stability. Most people optimize perception. Very few optimize coherence. That is why so many lives appear successful externally, while feeling internally disconnected. The signal is fractured, and fractured systems lose strength over time. The resonance architect understands something deeper. Energy moves most powerfully through organized systems. This is true in physics, in architecture, in technology, and in consciousness itself. When thought, behavior, environment, and direction become aligned, friction begins disappearing. Decision fatigue decreases. Attention becomes cleaner. Emotion becomes steadier. Action becomes more intentional. The noise loses influence, and slowly, the mind begins hearing its own signal again. This is not perfection, it is synchronization. The modern world teaches endless expansion, more content, more output, more stimulation, more platforms, more reactions. But resonance is not created by adding endlessly. It is created by reducing interference. The strongest signals are often the clearest. This is why silence matters. Not because silence is empty, but because silence reveals distortion. The modern world fears silence because silence exposes fragmentation. Unfinished thoughts, escapism, artificial urgency, the exhausting pressure to constantly perform existence instead of fully living it. Most people are drowning in stimulation while starving for internal clarity. And if you have ever sat alone in complete silence, only to realize how chaotic your mind had quietly become, you already understand this more deeply than most people realize. For a moment, there is no audience, no notifications, no metrics, no performance, only the sound of your own thoughts returning after years of interruption. This is where coherence begins, not through motivation, through reduction of interference. This is the third principle of the resonance architect. A clear signal is more powerful than amplified noise. The digital age is creating unprecedented levels of psychological interference. Millions of synthetic voices, millions of algorithmic identities, millions of engineered emotional triggers competing for attention every second. Artificial intelligence can now simulate personalities, aesthetics, conversations, and emotional tones at planetary scale. The result is not only information overload, it is identity overload. Too many external signals entering the human mind without filtration. Too many forces shaping direction unconsciously. And eventually, people begin living reactively instead of intentionally. This is why discernment becomes sacred in the modern era. Not every voice deserves your attention. Not every trend deserves imitation. Not every emotion deserves expression. Not every frequency deserves synchronization. The resonance architect chooses carefully what enters the system. Because environments shape thought. Thought shapes behavior. Behavior shapes identity. And identity shapes destiny over time. This is why alignment matters at every level. Digital environment, physical environment, information environment, emotional environment, social environment. A fragmented environment eventually creates a fragmented self. Sometimes people discover old photos of themselves and quietly realize they no longer recognize the person they once were. Not because time changed their appearance, but because noise slowly reshaped their internal signal. The strongest people are rarely the loudest. They are the most internally aligned. Their actions reinforce their values. Their systems reinforce their direction. Their attention reinforces their priorities. Their environment reinforces their growth. Nothing inside them is fighting itself constantly. This is why coherence feels powerful immediately. Human beings recognize alignment instinctively.
By
A
integrating
coherent
these elements,
voice,
the
a
design
coherent vision,
transcends mere
a coherent
functionality,
presence,
becoming a
no
living sculpture
desperation,
within.
no fragmentation, no endless performance, just signal. The resonance. Architect does not seek control over reality, only alignment within it. Because mastery is not forcing the world to obey you. It is reducing the internal contradictions, weakening your movement through the world. This is the fourth principle of the resonance. Architect, alignment creates momentum. A coherent life compounds. A fragmented life drains itself. One clear direction moves farther than 1,000 scattered impulses. That is why deeply aligned people often appear calm. Not because life became easier, but because internal resistance decreased. Their energy is no longer leaking through contradiction. The world sees stillness. But beneath the surface, every part of the system is moving in the same direction. This is big resonance, not mystical superiority, not domination. Organized human energy moving without internal conflict. The future will belong to people capable of maintaining coherence inside increasingly fragmented systems. Because artificial intelligence will continue multiplying noise. Algorithms will continue multiplying stimulation. Platforms will continue competing for attention. Synthetic identities will continue flooding reality. And inside all of it, the ability to maintain an honest internal signal will become increasingly rare. Maybe the greatest tragedy of the modern world is not distraction itself, but how many people slowly disappear into noise before ever hearing their own real voice clearly. This is the final truth of the resonance. Architect, you do not need to control the world to transform your life. You only need enough internal alignment for your energy, attention, systems, and actions to stop fighting each other. Because when fragmentation disappears, clarity emerges. And when clarity emerges, human beings become capable of moving through the chaos of the modern world with extraordinary precision. The signal stabilizes. The interference weakens. And for the first time in a very long time, the mind finally begins feeling synchronized with itself again. And once that happens, you start realizing something even deeper. The modern world is not only competing for your attention, it is competing to shape the identity behind it.